Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our Rediscovering Me Virtual Summit. It's your girl, Nakia P. Evans. I'm super excited about tonight. I hope that you are as well as we get ready to kick this summit off, okay? So, if you don't know, Rediscovering Me Virtual Summit is a summit where we encourage and empower you to rediscover yourselves. And for some of us, it is just discovering ourselves, and that is okay. We all come across our journeys differently, and that's totally fine. But this week, guys, we are going to come and encourage you and empower you to rediscover yourselves. We have a line of amazing speakers this entire week that are going to pour into you by sharing their journeys, things that work for them, and just to encourage you to rediscover yourself, find out who you are, and live in your authenticity. Okay, so tonight, guys, our first speaker is Miss Shalita Winfield Duke, and she is going to talk to us tonight on the topic built for this, rediscovering the winner within. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Miss Shalita up so she can come on, introduce herself, and she can take the floor. Hey, love, how are you?
Hello, 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 Nikia. Thank you so much. Hello, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are, to everyone under the sound of my voice.
Awesome. I'm super excited to have you, love, and super excited to hear what you are going to pour into us. I'm ready to see what I'm going to get tonight. So I'm super excited. So, what I'm going to do is go ahead and give you the floor and let you take over.
Awesome. I thank you again. Thank you again, Nikia, for the opportunity. And as she said, I am Shalita Winfield Duke. I am a personal success coach at SheWinUnlimited.com. I work with Christian professional women and entrepreneurs, helping them to get out of their own way, get out of their head, and get on to pursuing everything that God has for them. What does that mean for you? That means that if you are stuck, stagnant, settling for less than what you really and truly want, then I am the woman that is going to help push you, propel you, and help you get positioned to get everything that God has for you. So I know we have a defined amount of time. I am going to get started. Bear with me. I am going to share my screen and then I am going to go. Perfect. Here we are. All right. So if, yep, there, perfect. All right. So I know everyone can see that. So, a little bit more about me. I am a wife, a mother, mother being a bonus mom. My husband has two children from his first marriage, and my son Jonathan died about 7 days, not about 7 days after he was born, but we're going to go into a little more detail about that. I am an entrepreneur, a public servant, a minister, an author, a speaker, an overcomer, a survivor, and yes, I am a winner. And so that is some of the things that we are going to talk about tonight. The things that, as I had to go along my journey, my seasons of life, as I like to call them, that I learned and that I am going to share with you. So let's go. So, when you think about the seasons of life, obviously there are four seasons: summer, spring, winter, and fall. For me, each season represents a particular time in my life. So I'm going to start with summer. Summertime. Everyone loves the summertime. It is a time of sunshine, of fun, of vacation, of just enjoying yourself. You know, Sunroof is down. You were just really enjoying it. And that's where I'm going to start because that's a time when everything was right. And so I'm going to go back a ways. I'm going to go back to growing up, and I share this part of my story often. I don't have a trauma story like some people do. I don't have a hardship story. I didn't have traumatic events that occurred in my life. As a matter of fact, I was absolutely blessed growing up. I had a mother and a father and extended family who loved me very, very much. I didn't want for anything. You know, we grew up very comfortable, and that was good. And in some ways, it wasn't good because despite how my parents and my grandparents raised me, once I got 13, 14, I started making decisions that would be very detrimental to me as a young adult. My parents got divorced when I was 13, and I took that on personally. And I had decided that, in spite of my parents' best efforts, that it was ultimately my fault that my parents divorced. And I internalized that. And I really started looking for love in all the wrong places. So, what would have been a wonderful transition from being a kid into growing into being a young woman. In fact, it was not that. I became very promiscuous. I got pregnant at 13. I had my first abortion at 13. And that behavior just continued on for quite a number of years. Looking back on that, I realized that the enemy absolutely had a plan to set a root in my life, in my mind, in my soul, that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't worthy of love, that I didn't deserve to have good people in my life, that I deserved to be disregarded, that I deserved not to be a priority, just all of these things. And what would have been, what should have been wonderful time through high school and prom and the first couple of years in college absolutely was not. Now, I don't know if anybody under the sound of my voice can relate to that, but I learned at an early age to become my own worst enemy. And so while I talk about the enemy had a plan, what do you do when you are your own enemy? When you are the reason, or your mindset is the reason why things are not going well, while things are falling out of place instead of things falling in place. So I want to reflect, or I want you to reflect back onto the summertime, into that time where things were good, whether it was in your marriage or at work or within friendships, when things were good, because you will notice that depending on your own decisions, the way you view things, your own mindset, what started out as good doesn't necessarily continue on in that way. And that is where my second season comes in. It's what I call the fall season, where, like I said, instead of things falling in place, things were falling all over the place. They were just falling completely out of place. And looking back, I knew that that is what the intent was. The intent was for me to get discouraged. The intent was for me to get disheveled, was for me to have a dis-ease, to be uneasy about who I am, about whose I am, about what makes me me. Because in those pivotal years as a young adult, when you are learning who you are, when you are racked with bad choices, when you are racked with, not making good decisions or anything of that nature, it is quite easy to um, get down on yourself. It is quite easy to accept just what anything that people give you. And I did. I went through a season in my life where I just accepted anything from anybody. It didn't matter whether it was a work, whether it was girlfriends, like friendships, whether it was men. None of it mattered. Stopped. I didn't even know my own voice. So I can't even say I stopped using my voice. I didn't even know my voice. And because I did not understand my own voice, I didn't know how to use that. I did not know how to speak up when I felt like people were doing me wrong. I did not know how to speak up when there was something that I wanted and wasn't getting that. I didn't know how to speak up when I felt like I deserved more than what someone was giving me. I didn't know how to speak up for me. And that is because the guilt, hurt, shame, and defeat that I had allowed to seep into my soul really and truly had begun to take over. That fall season is when things are planted. And so you have to look at your life as you look back over, as you go through this this series over these next days, and you will be hearing from many other women who are talking about rediscovering who you are. You will be encouraged to look back over your own life, and you will be encouraged to look back over and see what seeds were planted early on before you even could conceptualize what that means. What was planted early? Was it guilt? Was it hurt? Was it shame? Was it defeat? Was it trauma? Was it disappointment? Was it inadequacy? Ask yourself as you journey through this series, what seeds were planted in that fall season? My hope is that you will be able to say, okay, this, I now see where this action or this decision was tied to this emotion. So I could look back and say, okay, when I made that decision to have sex at an early age, then that planted the seed of guilt, that planted the seed of disappointment. When I realized the look on my parents' face when they found out, because yeah, you can imagine that being 13, 14, 15, my parents finding out that I was having sex and the disappointment on their face. When you look at that, when you think back to that, and you think back to disappointing the people that you love, there is a seed that is planted when that happens. When you look back on the time where you accepted whatever time that man gave you, even though you deserved more and you wanted more, then that plants a seed of inadequacy. When you don't stand up for yourself and say, hey, I deserve better, I deserve more. When you don't, even in terms of jobs, I won't just focus on relationships, but even in terms of jobs, when you say, I know I deserve more money than that, but you say, sure, I'll take that certain amount of money that they're offering. When you don't even negotiate, when you don't use your voice to get what you know you truly deserve, then you walk away and you're feeling disappointed because you didn't stand up for yourself. That is a seed that is planted. And so when you look back over the choices and the decisions that you made, I encourage you to have a journal or a notebook or a piece of paper and you write down those decisions and then the corresponding seed that was planted. That's that fall season when seeds of discontent are planted. What does that grow into? It grows into pain. It grows into heartache. Excuse me. It grows into just not feeling good about yourself. And what happens is, as you continue to go in life and you those seeds are planted, you come to a point ever so slowly because it happens over time. You come to a point where you look around and everything on the inside of you looks dead. That's the winter season. When everything on the inside of you looks dead, when it doesn't look like nothing is growing and nothing is prospering and nothing has purpose, when you feel like you just keep trying to do and do and do and go and go and go, and you keep hitting your foot against the stone and nothing is happening. You're not getting any successes. You're not getting any wins. You just feel like, okay, what in the world is going on? What is happening here? I can't get any traction. That's that winter season when nothing is working. Your marriage is falling apart. I had a whole lot of winter seasons. You know, you lose loved ones. Um, for me, my winter seasons, whew, where do I even begin? I think my first season of winter was when my son Jonathan died. I was in my mid 30s and he was born extremely early in the NICU because of that. And, I'm going back and forth from home to the hospital, hospital to home. Obviously, he couldn't come home with me. And the guilt was so intense. The guilt of all of the things that I had done 13, 14, 15, 20, 21, all of the decisions that I had made, I felt like this was my punishment. I felt like this was all my fault. And so imagine losing your son at 7 days, a week old. Imagine that. Maybe you can't. I don't know. Maybe you can't imagine that. But for me, it was, I can't even say beyond devastating. I don't know that there is even a word that that can display what I felt or all of the emotions that I felt. And to put on top of that, my own guilt, my own shame, my own hurt, because I personally, I in my head had tied it to things that I had done years beforehand. Now, like I said, I thought it was my own punishment. So I was willing to accept my punishment for my behaviors, but that didn't mean that it didn't hurt any less. And so that was my first season of winter. And we all live in the United States, and there are 4 seasons, and so they go cyclical: summer, winter, spring, and fall. Summer, winter, spring, and fall. But what happens when you live in that winter season for years and years, and situations and cycles? It wears you down. And so you are left wondering, what in the world? What is next? Well, what was next was I got married and then divorced. So let me back up. So, yes, winter season comes after winter season in my life. There were some sprinkles of spring or sprinkles of summer. So, yes, some good things happened, but right behind that season of summer came another season of winter. And so, what do you do when that happens? So, what do you do when you go from summer to winter? Just think about it. Just think about that in a natural. It's summertime. You out, you chilling. You got your shorts and your flip flops. All of a sudden, you're out on Saturday and you're good. The sun is shining. You hanging out with your friends. You're just doing your own thing. All is well. Saturday, Sunday comes, Monday comes, and it's a blizzard. It is a blizzard. Now you're like, wait a minute. How I go from flip flops to Uggs? Like, how does that even happen? That's what it felt like. And so while my winter season was prevalent, I got fooled by a couple of summer days. Let me just say it that way. And so after, the whole situation with my son Jonathan, you try to gain your footing, you try to get back on track. And so, there was some summer days that I had, and I got married, and I thought all was well. I had married somebody who I had known for a very long time, and we had been friends for a very long time. And I really did. I really thought that things would be good. Things would start to turn around. But little did I know, even though I was wearing flip flops one day, I was going to be in um, a parka and some boots the next day because 3, 4 years into that, 3 or 4 years, you heard me. It's not like this was a long time. 3 or 4 years into that, here comes the winter again, and I found out that my then husband is cheating on me, not not with just one woman, but with two. Now you talk about getting a blizzard and an ice storm, all in the same day. Like, what in the world? Like, how do you go from 90 degrees to below zero? That's what happens. That's how life is. Life comes at you so fast. And before you know it, you're in a totally different season all over again. Or you realize that you're in an extended season. So I had to then say, okay, let me back up because now I got to deal with this. One thing, when your son dies, it's another thing when your husband cheats. Totally different situation, totally different set of emotions, but still winter. Because when you thought you had a summertime marriage, now even that's dying. So you already dealt with this death or are still dealing with this death. You got to look at this death next. You got to deal with that. So, I go from burying Jonathan to now looking for a divorce attorney. What in the world? But okay, fine. Here we are. Those same feelings of guilt, hurt, shame, and defeat resurface. I can't get any traction. And I can only imagine that there are people who are listening who also can't get any traction or who feel like they can't get any traction. So, what do? Just like in that wintertime, you retreat. At least I did. That's what I did. I retreated. I retreated because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to share the pain that I was going through. I didn't want people to know what was going on in my life. That was personal. I didn't want to share that with anybody at that point in time. I felt like I was all alone. But that was because I chose to be all alone. And I'm not all alone. And I'm not saying that was the right thing. But when everything on the inside of you is slowly dying, you don't want to be with nobody. And that is part of the fall because you feel so alone. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to dig out of it. But that's the trick because the enemy wants to get you away from everybody because you are already empty. And if you're not with anybody who is full, you're going to always be empty, sis. Who you have around you is so important. Who you allow in your space, who is in your circle is so important. You want to talk about rediscovering, you want to talk about winning. Part of the way that you do that is to have the right people around you. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me stop. So I go from the death of Jonathan to the death of my marriage. And then some odd years later, I got to deal with the death of my mother. And so that's the journey. That is how you lose sight of who you are because you don't feel like you can get out that winter season. You don't feel like you can get out of, you can't lift yourself out of that pain, that hurt, that guilt, that shame, that defeat, that disappointment. It is so hard to see life when everything around you looks dead. So, what do? It is so easy to get in your head. It is so easy to get in your own way with the thoughts, with the self sabotaging behaviors, with the negative thinking, with the limited thinking, with the inadequate thinking. You look around and you start to compare yourself to others. You start to see what other people have and see what other people are doing. And social media does not help at all in the least little bit. You start to look around and compare your situation, your life, your feelings, your circumstances to others. And it is a way to keep the dead in the forefront of your mind. And if you are always thinking about what isn't, how do you start to think about what is? You can't, because your focus is skewed, your lens is off. All you are looking at is what isn't working. So, yeah, my son died. Yep. My ex husband cheated. Yep. My mama died. What in the world? How do you get out of that? You have to understand that springtime is coming. You have to understand that only you have the ability to lift yourself up out of the dead situation. You have to say, okay, it is time for winter season to be over. You have to start uprooting those old seeds that were planted, and you have to start planting new seeds. So think about this. Now, I'm not definitely not a farmer. I'm a good old city girl through and through. But out where I live, my husband is always out in the yard planting stuff, or tilling the soil and all of that good old stuff. But he does that when we are in between seasons, when we are in between winter and spring, because it helps to prepare the soil. And so I encourage you, as you are in a winter season, to start preparing the soil. Look at what you are taking in. Look at what you are listening to. Look at who is around you. That is how you begin to transition your seasons from winter into spring. Springtime is when everything starts to bloom, including your soul. You have to think about what you can do differently. What thoughts do you need to stop thinking? What words do you need to stop saying? What people do you need to stop hanging around? What what boundaries do you need to set? What is it that you need to say no to? Not just what, but who. Who do you need to say no to? In order to go from winter to spring, you have to be intentional. You have to say, okay, winter time is over. It is time for me to do something different. Okay, so you might be wondering, what in the world does all of this have to do with rediscovering you? Well, hear me out. In order to rediscover who you are, well, two things. In order to rediscover who you are, you have to A, have lost who you are, first thing. Second thing is you have to recognize that there is a loss. Okay, peep that. You have to recognize that you have lost who you are, and you have to recognize that there is a loss. And so this is what I mean by that. Back in my summer season, when everything was good, I knew exactly who I was. As at that time in my life, I knew exactly who I was. I knew that I was loved. I knew that I was well taken care of. I knew that I had my whole life ahead of me. I knew that I was blessed. I knew that there wasn't anything that I couldn't do if I set my mind to it. That was my summer season. Everything was wonderful. I knew exactly who I was, and I knew that I could own the world if that's really what I wanted. And then that journey began, and that fall and that winter season came. And I lost sight of who I was. I lost sight of who I was because of the choices that I made, because of the thoughts that I was thinking, because of the things that I was doing, because of the people that I was hanging around, because of the words that I was saying, because of what I was taking in, because of the things and the people that I wasn't saying no to. That fall and winter, that fall season is began to lose the true essence of who I was. I didn't think I was that great. I didn't think I was that good. I didn't think I was that smart or that intelligent. Or I didn't think that I could take that risk and succeed. I didn't think I would be good at that job. I didn't think I deserved that type of relationship. I didn't think I deserved love. That was that fall season when I lost sight of everything that had made Shalita Shalita. And then in that winter time, all of that dirt, all of those rocks, all of those stones was just piled on. So I couldn't find me even if I wanted to. I don't even know that I had even realized that I was lost during that season, because it was so desolate. My soul was so empty. And so it is a slow burn. That time comes, it is a slow loss. One situation after another situation, after another situation, after another situation. And before you know it, you're like, how in the world did I get so far from me? How did I get so far from owning my own greatness? How did I get so far from even knowing what makes me great? And so when you think about rediscovering who you are, you have to be open. You have to be willing to go on that journey back to your summer season. You have to journey back to the things that make you great, or that made you great, that brought you joy. You have to recognize that there was a time where it was this and now it's that. And that's where the hard work is. That's where the work, the pain, you have to uproot all of that in order to really begin to rediscover who you are. Because in order to rediscover who you are, like I said, you have to understand that you were lost at some point in time. That the true essence, your true soul, the things that bring you joy, you lost sight of that, and that you have to be in a place, in a mind space, in a heart space where you say, I am ready to get all of that back. That is your spring season. When you say, okay, I am absolutely, positively ready to do something different. When you say, I am built for more, when you say, I am ready for more, I am ready to change seasons, I am ready to own all of what makes me great. When you say, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's when you are ready for your spring season. All right, I'm working on this. Here we go. All right, so I talked about being built for more. What does that mean? Being built for more means that, well, first let me talk about the more. Um, the more means moments of joy, opportunities, relationships, and excellence. That's what a more is. But in order to be built for more, you have to begin. That is your summer season, or your transition from winter to summer. You have to begin. And I say you have to begin with the end in mind. You have to begin with knowing that you not only want something different, that you want something more, that you deserve it, that you are willing and able and ready to do the work for you to journey back to who you want to be, and to heal and do the work to get to the new you, to who you are to who you want to be right now. So you have to be willing to journey back to who you were, I'm sorry, in order to get move forward to who you really want to be. Who do you want to show up as in the world? Do you want to be that confident woman? Do you want to own your greatness? Do you want to own a room? Do you want to be the one who says, I know I deserve to be at this table? And if I don't deserve to be, and if you don't think I need to be at this table, then that's cool. I'm going to build my own table. Do you want to be that woman who exudes confidence and who is clear, not just about what she wants, but is also clear about who she is? Begin with the end in mind. You have to see yourself in your summer season in order for you to be able to do the journey, to go on the journey back in order to get to your summer season. You have to understand the root of what isn't working. You have to know that your soul is broken. You have to recognize and know that the guilt, hurt, shame, and defeat has stifled you. And you do that by recognizing the signs. Are you stuck? Are you in a rut? Are you in your comfort zone? Are you just complacent? Are you like, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's good, but I know it can be better, but I'm good with where it is, so I'm not going to do nothing else. You have to understand what isn't working. Is it your mindset? Are you thinking negatively? Are you speaking negatively? Are you believing negatively? You have to get to the root of what isn't working, not just around you, but more importantly, with inside of you. You have to get to the root. For me personally, my root was guilt, hurt, shame, and defeat, which all boils down to, at the end of the day, fear and rejection. I did not want to be rejected, and I was fearful of a myriad of things, quite honestly. And so, but I had to want more for myself than I wanted in staying comfortable. I had to want more for the things that I was going to want to do for my future than I want to stay in my comfort zone. I had to want more for my latter days than what I wanted for my former days. So I had to do some work. I had to really get to a point where I was okay with creating, recrafting, discovering me. And I don't want to say a new me, and I don't even say even a better version of me, but just me, because we were all made great. We have just allowed circumstances to just kind of get us off course. But the greatness is already in us. It's not like it's new and I got to go get it. I don't have to go get a degree to get it, or get a job to get it, or I get a man to get it, or have a certain amount of money to get it. The greatness is already in me. And in owning my greatness, all of those other things I want will be attracted to me. And they will opportunities, which is part of the more, opportunities will present itself for me to get those things that I want, for me to achieve those things that I want. And so whether it's relationships or opportunities or more joy, like with the more acronym, when I understand what isn't working, then I can fix it. And then I am better positioned to receive, to attract what is working. And so then I got to introduce a plan of action. All of this talk is great, but at the end of the day, what you gonna do? Actions always speak louder than words. And so while I can begin with the end in mind, and while I can know, okay, these things in my past, didn't work, these choices that I made didn't work, they didn't get me to what I wanted, these decisions, these relationships, these people, these things didn't work, and it didn't help me get to the things that I wanted. Unless I choose to do something, it's not going to matter. I got to choose different. I got to decide different. I got to and surround myself with different people. And I want you to understand, hear me loud and clear, ladies. Who you have around you makes a difference. You don't have to have a whole lot of women around you. You just have to have the right women around you. You need women who are going to encourage and uplift and hold you accountable and call you on the carpet for your mess. You need women who will not just say yes, 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 and cheer, 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 but you need women who will get in the trenches with you and help you really be the best version of yourself. Iron truly does sharpen iron. And when you get around good women who mean you well, who aren't competitive, who don't have that competitive spirit, who aren't jealous, who aren't after what you have, and who know that you aren't after what they have, when you have true friendship, when you have true relationship with women, that is a game changer. But anyway, that's just the nugget for you. Introduce a plan of action. Set your goals, set your intentions. Find an accountability partner who will hold you to doing the very thing you say you are going to do. And I don't want you to just set goals, but you need to also set time frames. You have to set deadlines. You have to set steps in order to get to that goal. Setting a goal is one thing, but actually breaking it down on how you're going to achieve it is something else. I talk all the time about celebrating your wins, and you can't celebrate your wins if you don't have the steps in between to help you get from point A to point B. Because setting a big goal is not going to be achievable if you don't set the little steps. And if you don't celebrate the little steps, then you have the potential to lose the momentum to achieve the big goal. So introduce a plan of action, but also introduce the steps to make it happen, which gets me to a list. That is the list out the strategies of implementation. That's exactly what I was talking about. You need to make sure that you list out the steps that you are going to take in order to reach the big goal, in order to reach that big picture. And then the last step of build is to tell it. Tell and show the world your greatness. Own it. Walk in it. Embrace it. Don't hide it. Let the world know. Let the world see that you have reached, I don't want to say reach. Let the world see that you are comfortable and confident in who you are. You want to rediscover you. Then what? What happens once you rediscover you? What's the point if you don't own it? What's the point in doing the work to get to who you are? And then you are afraid to tell everybody. You are afraid to share it. You are afraid to walk in it. You did all that work for nothing. Because I am not about to journey along this path of uprooting all of the pain of my past, heal from that, and then keep it quiet. Absolutely not. Sis, if you don't own your greatness, after you have gotten back to who you truly are, then what was the point at the end of the day? Quite honestly, what was the point? So, what's next? There we go. So, here's your one of many important reminders. The only way to rediscover who you are is to recognize that you have hidden the true you. You have to understand that who you are is already on the inside of you. You have to understand that everything that you need to journey on your path of rediscovering, of getting back to who you are, is already on the inside of you. You have the steps to do that. You have the steps to take that journey. Begin with the end. Think about what it is that you really want out of life. What is your purpose? What are you called to do? Who are you called to serve? What legacy do you want to leave for your children, for your family, for your community? Think about the end. Begin with the end in mind. Then you have to uncover the root. You're going to have to really get to what those seeds were that were planted all those years ago that kept you hidden, that kept you under the rock. Then you have to implement a plan of action. You got to list out those strategies. And once you do the work, sis, then tell the world, share with the world how great you are. Own it, share it. Don't ever hide it again. Because not only do you deserve your best, those that are connected to you, those who are waiting for you to show up, deserve your best also. So that is it. Um, right now, you can reach out to me. I think Nakia has some banners. I'm not quite sure you, but nevertheless, you can reach out to me. You can always just go to www.shewinunlimited.com. That is my website. There you go. Yep, you can go to my website. Everything you need to be in contact with me is there. You can go download my free offer at sabotagestopper.com. I'm sorry, I don't want to call it a free offer. You can go and download my action guide, and it'll help you recognize the self-sabotaging steps that you might be doing right now and how to move beyond that. And I talk about those self-sabotaging behaviors because that is the root that was planted in that fall season that is showing up in that winter season. So you definitely need to look at your own behaviors and how you are potentially sabotaging your own success, how you are potentially hiding your own greatness because of your fall season. This was a great opportunity. I hope that what I have said absolutely has resonated with you all, with you ladies. I pray that you are ready to take that journey to rediscover who you are. Stay connected with Nakia. There's going to be a wealth of women who are coming up this week who are going to talk about rediscovering who you are and getting back to the true you. But in the meantime, remember, no matter what you hear this week and going forward, remember that you are built for more.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. This was good because we need to understand that we are built for more. I love the way you broke it down, had me over here taking notes and be like, girl, accountability. You got to be accountable for
Yes,
yourself.
you
That
do.
is amazing. I just want to say thank you so much, love. I greatly appreciate this. I appreciate what you have poured into us on tonight. I'm super excited for the rest of the week as
Yes,
well.
indeed.
So like I'm humbled that y'all are here and that you are willing to do this. So thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Y'all make sure that you connect with her. Again, that is her website. Okay, so make sure that you connect. And this is also an action guide that she has as well. Okay, so make sure that you do that. Miss Shalita, thank you so much, love. I greatly appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. All right, guys. So listen, make sure that you join us for the rest of the week as well, because we still have more pouring into you to do. Okay. And like I say, you got this. I got this. We got this. Okay. Because I never take myself, your girl is on a journey herself. So this is good. All right. So listen, guys, I will see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. as we continue our Rediscovering Me Virtual Summit. Listen, make sure if you have not signed up, make sure you do that. That's the link right there. Make sure that you sign up. There's going to be some freebies in the emails and some things, so you don't want to miss it. Make sure that you sign up so you can receive all the info of what's happening. All right. So, again, guys, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful night.